Assalamu alaikum, dear seekers of truth and adventure. Welcome to Islamic Story Vault, where ancient secrets, heroic imams, forgotten guardians, and tests of Iman come alive. Tonight, we unlock a thrilling new tale, the Guardian of the Hidden Seal. A young scholar discovers a lost relic that could awaken a force sealed for centuries. Will faith triumph over darkness? Hit like if you're ready for mystery, and subscribe now so you never miss an episode. Bismillah. Let's begin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Islamic Story Vault. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss when the next chapter drops. And if you're already with us, alhamdulillah, let's dive deeper. Tonight we begin a brand new tale. The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. In the ancient city of al-Madina al-Qadima, the old Medina, where narrow stone alleys still whisper prayers from 1,000 years ago, there lived a young scholar named Yusuf ibn Khalid. Yusuf was not like the other young men of the city. While they spent evenings in the coffee houses arguing about trade routes or joking about the latest caravan gossip, Yusuf preferred the silence of forgotten corners. He worked as the night custodian of the great library of Al-Hakim, a towering building of weathered sandstone whose doors had not been fully opened to the public in over 2 centuries. Most people believed the library held only dusty poetry books and old tax records. But Yusuf knew better. Every night, after the last lamp in the city square was extinguished, he would light a single oil lantern and descend the spiral staircase behind the main reading hall. There, hidden beneath layers of cracked plaster, was a small iron door no wider than a man's shoulders. The door had no handle, only a faint circular indentation the size of a palm. No key had ever been found. Yusuf had discovered the door 3 years earlier, quite by accident, when a shelf collapsed during a rare rainstorm, and rainwater seeped through the wall, revealing the outline. Since then, he had spent hundreds of quiet hours studying it, not with force, but with patience. He sketched its faint carvings, interlocking geometric patterns that reminded him of ayat, written in Kufic script, yet older, stranger. One moonless night, as the adhan for Fajr was still far away, Yusuf sat cross-legged before the door, his lantern casting long shadows. He was reading from a small leather-bound notebook his late father had left him. The pages were filled with his father's neat handwriting, notes about the seal of Suleiman, the guardian bloodline, and a single repeated phrase in faded ink. When the crescent bleeds red at dawn, the sleeper will stir. Yusuf had always thought it poetic, until tonight. He looked up. Through a high, narrow window slit high above, the sky was turning the color of diluted blood. A thin, crescent moon hung low, and strange crimson clouds were drifting across its face. An eclipse of dust carried on the desert wind. The old ones called it the warning veil. His heart began to race. He placed his right palm against the circular indentation in the iron door. Nothing happened at first. Then he felt it, a faint warmth, like sunlight trapped in stone. The patterns around the circle began to glow the softest silver blue. A low hum vibrated through the floor, so quiet it was more felt than heard. Click. The door unlocked itself. Yusuf froze. Every story his father had told him about forbidden knowledge rushed back. Treasures that curse their finders, relics that choose their keepers, doors that should never be opened after dark. He whispered, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and pushed. The door swung inward silently. Beyond it lay a narrow corridor carved directly into the bedrock. The air was cool and smelled faintly of old myrrh and something metallic. Along the walls, small alcoves held unlit copper lamps. As Yusuf stepped inside, the nearest lamp flared to life on its own. No wick, no oil, just steady golden flame that did not flicker. He walked deeper. The corridor ended at a circular chamber, no larger than a modest prayer room. In the center stood a single stone pedestal. On it rested a small, perfectly round object, wrapped in faded black silk. Around the pedestal, carved into the floor in a perfect ring, were words in an ancient script Yusuf recognized from his father's notebook. La ilaha illallah, the seal remains until the righteous blood calls. His fingers trembled as he reached for the silk. The moment he touched it, The entire chamber lit up. Every lamp along the walls ignited at once. The silk fell away on its own, revealing a palm-sized disc of dark obsidian. Embedded in its center was a single drop of what looked like frozen blood, deep crimson, glowing faintly from within. Around the edge of the disc were tiny engraved letters in the same unknown script. Yusuf lifted it carefully. The instant the disc left the pedestal, the floor beneath him trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deep, resonant voice, not human, not quite mechanical, echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Blood of the Guardian has returned. Speak your intention, Keeper. Yusuf's mouth went dry. He had read about such things in forbidden scrolls, voices bound to relics, tests of sincerity. He swallowed hard and answered in a steady voice, I seek only knowledge and protection for those who cannot protect themselves. If this is haram, return me to my ignorance. If it is halal, guide me. Silence. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time. The hidden seal is awake. What was buried beneath the city for 7 centuries now listens. But beware, son of Khalid. Others already hunt it. The one called Zahir al-Din knows the old prophecies. He believes the seal will grant him dominion over life and death. Yusuf's blood ran cold. Zahir al-Din, the name every merchant in the old souk whispered with fear. A wealthy warlord who had recently seized half the southern trade routes. Rumors said he employed sorcerers, men who read stars and burned strange incense. Some said he was searching for something ancient beneath the city, something that would make him untouchable. The voice continued. The seal binds a power older than prophets and kings. It can protect or destroy. Its key is the blood that woke it, your blood, but the choice is yours alone. Will you carry it or will you seal it once more? Before Yusuf could answer, a loud crash echoed from the corridor behind him. Footsteps, heavy boots, torchlight flickering against the walls, voices, rough, armed men. He's down here, the scholar Zahir al-Din wants him alive. Yusuf clutched the obsidian disc to his chest. His heart pounded so hard he could barely think. The lamps began to dim one by one. The voice whispered one final time, urgent now, run, Guardian, the hunt has begun. Yusuf turned and sprinted back toward the iron door, the only way out. But the footsteps were getting closer. Subhanallah, what a heart-stopping beginning. If this chapter already has you on the edge of your seat, please smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault right now and hit the bell so you don't miss Chapter 2, where Yusuf must escape with the seal and discovers who, or what, is truly after him. Drop a comment below. Would you take the seal, or leave it buried? Be honest. Jazakallah khair for watching. See you in the next chapter, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, beloved family of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, you're back for Chapter 2 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If this is your first time joining us, please hit subscribe right now and turn on the bell. We drop these chapters weekly, inshallah, and you don't want to miss what happens next. And if you felt that chill at the end of Chapter 1, smash the like button to let us know the story is gripping your heart. Let's continue. Yusuf ibn Khalid burst through the iron door, clutching the obsidian disc so tightly his knuckles turned white. Behind him, the corridor echoed with the clatter of boots and the harsh bark of orders. Block the stairs! He's got the relic! Torchlight danced wildly on the walls as 4 armored men charged toward him. Mercenaries in black turbans and chainmail, swords already drawn. They bore the red crescent emblem of Zahir al-Din stitched on their shoulders. Yusuf didn't hesitate. He sprinted up the spiral staircase, taking steps 2 at a time. The great library S main hall was pitch dark, except for the faint moonlight filtering through high arched windows. Shelves loomed like silent sentinels. He darted between them, heart hammering, mind racing. Where to go? The front doors were barred from the outside at night. The side exit led straight into the main souk, too open, too exposed. He remembered the old service passage his father once showed him. A narrow tunnel used centuries ago by scribes to carry manuscripts without being seen. It opened behind the mihrab wall into a forgotten alley. Yusuf veered left, ducking under a low beam, and found the camouflaged wooden panel. He pressed the hidden latch. It creaked open. He slipped inside just as the first mercenary rounded the corner of the stacks. "Search every shelf! Zahir al-Din pays triple for the disc, and double if the boy is breathing." The panel clicked shut behind Yusuf. Total darkness. He felt along the damp stone wall, counting paces the way his father taught him. 20 forward, left turn, 30 more, then up 3 worn steps. Fresh air hit his face. He emerged into a cramped alley barely wide enough for 2 men to pass. Moonlight painted the walls silver. Somewhere nearby, a donkey brayed sleepily. He leaned against the wall, breathing hard, and opened his palm. The obsidian disc still glowed faintly. That single crimson drop inside pulsed like a slow heartbeat. "What are you?" he whispered. No voice answered this time, only silence, and the distant sound of shouting from the library. Yusuf tucked the disc into the inner pocket of his jubba, tight against his chest, then pulled his hood low. He had to reach the only person he trusted, his uncle, Imam Harun, who lived in the quiet quarter near the old hammam. Imam Harun had been his father's closest friend and knew more about the Guardian bloodline than anyone still alive. He moved quickly but quietly, sticking to shadows. The city felt different tonight, heavier, watchful. Every closed shutter seemed to hide eyes. Every stray cat's movement made him flinch. Halfway through the spice merchant's lane, he heard hoofbeats. 3 riders rounded the corner ahead, black-cloaked, faces wrapped in dark cloth. One carried a short spear, tipped with something that glinted unnaturally blue in the moonlight. Yusuf pressed himself into a doorway. The lead rider reined in his horse. "The scholar passed this way. I smell the myrrh from the chamber on him." Another rider laughed coldly. "Zahir al-Din said the disc chooses its keeper. If we spill the wrong blood, the power turns on us." "Then we take him alive," the leader snapped. "Cut off his hands if you must. But the heart must still beat when we deliver him." They spurred their horses and galloped past, close enough that Yusuf felt the wind from their cloaks. He waited until the hoofbeats faded, then slipped out and ran the opposite direction, toward the Hammam district. The streets grew narrower, more twisted. Laundry lines crisscrossed overhead like spider webs. A lone lantern swung outside a closed tea house. Yusuf's lungs burned, but he pushed on. Finally, he reached the small masjid attached to Imam Harun's modest home. The door was ajar, unusual. A soft glow came from inside. Yusuf knocked once, then pushed in. "Uncle Harun, it's Yusuf." He froze. Imam Harun sat on the prayer rug, back straight, but his hands were bound behind him with coarse rope. 2 men stood over him, one holding a curved dagger to the imam's throat, the other cradling a strange brass astrolabe that ticked like a living thing. The man with the dagger smiled thinly. "Welcome, Guardian. We've been expecting you." Yusuf's hand instinctively went to the hidden pocket. The disc grew warm against his skin, almost hot. Imam Harun's eyes met his, calm, steady. He gave the slightest shake of his head. "Don't give it to them." The second man stepped forward, astrolabe raised. Its gears spun faster. "The device senses it," he said. "The seal is near. Hand it over, boy, and your uncle lives. Resist. And we paint this masjid red before Fajr." Yusuf's mind spun. He could run, but they'd kill Harun. He could fight, but he had no weapon, only a small eating knife in his belt and the disc itself. Then he remembered his father's words from the notebook, written in the margin like an afterthought. "The seal protects the sincere. Call on it only when no other path remains." Yusuf took a slow breath. "Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim," he whispered. He pulled the disc free and held it up. The crimson center flared bright. Not angry red, but pure, steady light like dawn breaking. The man with the dagger flinched. The astrolabe began to shake violently in the other's hand. "What is this?" Before he could finish, the disc emitted a low, resonant tone, like a bell struck underwater. The sound wasn't loud, but it vibrated through bone and stone. The ropes around Imam Harun's wrists loosened and fell away on their own. The dagger flew from the mercenary's hand and embedded itself in the far wall. The astrolabe cracked with a sharp pop, brass shards scattering across the floor. Both men staggered back, clutching their ears. Imam Harun rose smoothly to his feet. "Leave this house," he said quietly, voice carrying the weight of decades of Salah, "and tell Zahir al-Din, what he seeks cannot be taken by force. It answers only to Allah." The men scrambled out the door without another word, disappearing into the night. Yusuf sank to his knees, still holding the disc. The light dimmed to a gentle glow. Imam Harun placed a hand on his shoulder. "You woke it, didn't you?" Yusuf nodded, voice hoarse. "I didn't mean to, but now they know. Zahir al-Din won't stop." Harun looked toward the open door, where the first grey light of Fajr was touching the horizon. "Then we move before sunrise. There is one place the seal can be hidden again, or understood. The caves of the Silent Watchers, beneath Jebel al-Nur. But the path is dangerous, and others will follow." He paused, eyes searching Yusuf's face. "Are you ready to carry this burden, nephew? Because once we leave this masjid, there is no going back to the quiet life of books and lanterns." Yusuf looked down at the disc. The crimson drop inside pulsed once, almost like a nod. He met his uncle's gaze. "I am ready." Subhanallah. The seal has chosen its guardian, but the real test is only beginning. If your heart is racing right now, please drop a like to show support. It helps this channel reach more souls searching for meaningful stories. Hit subscribe and the bell icon so Chapter 3 arrives the moment it's ready. In the comments, tell me, what would you do if you held the hidden seal in your hand right now? Jazakallah khair for staying with us. Allah protect us all. See you soon, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, you've returned for Chapter 3 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If you're just joining the journey, please hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. These chapters build one upon the other, and missing one means missing the full test of faith. And if Chapter 2 left you breathless, show some love with that like button. It helps spread these meaningful stories far and wide. Inshallah. Let's step forward. The first call of Fajr still echoed faintly across the rooftops as Yusuf and Imam Harun slipped out the back of the small masjid. The Imam carried only a worn leather satchel containing a few dates, a water skin, and his personal mushaf. Yusuf kept the obsidian disc pressed against his chest beneath his juba. It no longer burned hot, but its gentle warmth felt like a living companion. They moved through the sleeping quarter like shadows, avoiding the main gates where Zahir al-Din's men would surely watch. Instead, they took the old goat path that wound behind the city walls, past crumbling date palms and abandoned cisterns. The air smelled of dry earth and distant rain. Imam Harun spoke in a low voice as they walked. "The caves of the Silent Watchers lie high on Jebel al-Nur, the mountain of light. Long ago, before the city rose, righteous men retreated there to worship in solitude. They carved warnings into the stone. Let no seeker enter without pure intention. The seal was hidden in those caves after the last guardian sealed it away. If we reach them, we may learn how to protect it, or return it to silence forever." Yusuf glanced at the disc's faint glow through the fabric. "And if Zahir al-Din reaches it first?" Harun's face grew grave. "Then the power awakens without a righteous hand to guide it. The old scrolls speak of a force that feeds on greed. It promises dominion, but delivers only ruin. Zahir believes it will make him immortal. He does not understand that some powers were never meant for mortal hands." They climbed steadily. The path narrowed until they walked single file, loose stones skittering underfoot. Dawn broke slowly. First a thin gold line on the horizon, then rose and amber spreading across the desert floor below. The city looked small from up here, fragile, like a child's toy left in the sand. By mid-morning the heat rose. They found shade beneath an overhanging boulder and shared dates and water. Yusuf pulled out the disc to examine it in daylight. The crimson drop inside moved slowly, almost like liquid trapped in glass. When he tilted it, tiny ripples crossed its surface. "Uncle, do you think my father knew I would find this?" Harun nodded slowly. "Your father was the last true guardian before you. He chose not to wake the seal. He believed the world was not yet ready, or perhaps that the trial would come in your time. He left the notebook for you, knowing one day the bloodline would call." Yusuf traced the edge of the disc with his finger. "I feel it watching me, not evil, but expectant, like it's waiting for me to decide what it becomes." Before Harun could reply, a sharp whistle cut the air. They both dropped low. From the ridge above, 3 figures appeared, silhouettes against the sky. Not the armored mercenaries from the city, but lean men in sand-colored cloaks, faces wrapped against dust. One carried a long, curved staff, topped with a crystal that caught the sun like fire. "Travelers," the leader called down, voice calm but firm. "This path is closed to outsiders. Turn back." Imam Harun stood slowly, hands open. "We seek the caves of the silent watchers. We come in peace, with pure intention." The leader descended a few steps. His eyes narrowed at Yusuf. "You carry something old, something that hums with power. Show us, or we bar your way." Yusuf hesitated, then drew the disc. It caught the sunlight and sent a soft prism of colors dancing across the rocks. The 3 men inhaled sharply. The one with the staff stepped forward reverently. "The hidden seal. After all these generations, you are of the bloodline." Yusuf nodded. "I am Yusuf ibn Khalid. This was entrusted to my care." The leader removed his face wrap, revealing a weathered face marked with faint tribal scars. "I am Tariq, keeper of the outer path. My brothers and I guard Jebel al-Nur from those who would misuse what lies within. Zahir al-Din's riders passed this way at dawn. We turned them back, but more will come. They ride with a device that tracks ancient energies." He pointed to the crystal on his staff. It pulsed once in rhythm with the disc in Yusuf's hand. "The mountain itself will decide if you may enter," Tariq continued. "But first, you must pass the trial of intention." Imam Harun placed a steadying hand on Yusuf's shoulder. "We accept." Tariq gestured toward a narrow cleft in the rock face ahead, barely visible unless you knew where to look. "Follow. But know this. The trial does not test strength or cleverness, it tests the heart. Whatever you see inside, face it with truth." They entered the cleft. The passage twisted sharply, then opened into a small natural chamber lit only by shafts of sunlight piercing cracks high above. In the center stood a simple stone basin filled with clear water. Around its rim were carved the same ancient script as on the disc. Tariq spoke softly. "Place the seal in the basin. The water will show you what you truly seek. If your intention is pure, the way opens. If not, the mountain keeps its secrets." Yusuf knelt. His reflection stared back. Tired eyes, dust-streaked face, but steady. He lowered the disc into the water. The moment it touched the surface, the water rippled outward in perfect circles. Images formed like ink, dropped in clear liquid. First, his father, young and strong, standing before the same iron door in the library, hand outstretched, but pulling back, choosing not to open it. Then, Zahir al-Din, in a torchlit chamber, laughing as black smoke coiled around him, eyes glowing with unnatural hunger. Then, Yusuf himself, older, standing on a high minaret, the disc raised to the sky as a great shadow loomed over the city. But the shadow recoiled at the sound of adhan rising from every masjid below. Finally, a single clear vision. Yusuf placing the disc back into darkness, sealing it with his own hand, tears on his face, but peace in his heart. The images faded, the water stilled. Tariq nodded once. "The mountain accepts you." A low grinding sound came from the far wall. Stone parted, revealing a steep, winding stair carved into the rock, leading upward into shadow. Tariq handed Yusuf a small oil lamp. "The caves are deep. The silent watchers still linger in spirit, speak only truth within. Lies echo forever." Imam Harun turned to Yusuf. "Whatever awaits, remember, Allah is with the patient and the sincere." Yusuf lit the lamp. Its flame burned steady, unnaturally bright. They began to climb. But far below, on the desert floor, dust clouds rose. Riders, many more than before, galloped toward the base of Jebel al-Nur. At their head rode a tall figure in black, astride a white stallion. In his hand gleamed the broken remnants of the astrolabe from the masjid, now repaired, ticking faster than ever. Zahir al-Din had come himself. Subhanallah. The mountain has opened its secrets, but the enemy draws near. If this chapter pulled at your soul, please hit that like button. Your support keeps these stories alive. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault and turn on the bell so Chapter 4 arrives without delay. In the comments, share. What do you think the trial showed Yusuf about his own heart? Jazakallah khair for walking this path with us. May Allah guide us all. See you in the next chapter, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear family of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that you rehear for Chapter 4 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If the journey so far has touched your heart, please show it by hitting that like button. It truly helps these stories reach more seekers of truth. And if you haven't yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications so Chapter 5 arrives the moment it's ready, inshallah. We're building towards something powerful. Stay with us. Now, let us descend deeper. The stone stairs twisted upward like a serpent carved from the mountain's heart. Yusuf held the small oil lamp high. Its flame burned unnaturally steady, casting golden pools on walls etched with faded inscriptions. Imam Harun followed close behind, his breathing measured, his steps sure despite the steep climb. Every few dozen steps, the passage widened into small alcoves. In each one stood a simple stone niche, holding the skeleton of a man long gone, seated in prayer position, hands resting on knees, skull bowed forward as if still in sujood. No decay, no dust of centuries. The air preserved them in quiet dignity. Yusuf paused before one. Who were they, uncle? The Silent Watchers, Harun replied softly. Scholars and guardians who chose isolation over the world's noise. They guarded the seal not with swords, but with constant dhikr and vigilance. When the last one sealed it away, he joined them here, waiting. Yusuf felt the disc warm against his chest again, a gentle pulse, almost reassuring. They climbed for what felt like hours. The air grew cooler, thinner. Then the stairs ended abruptly at a wide, natural cavern. Moonlight, impossibly bright for being so deep inside the mountain, poured through a high fissure in the ceiling, bathing the chamber in silver blue. In the center rose a low platform of black basalt. Atop it sat an ancient mihrab, carved directly into a massive stalagmite. Pointed arch, geometric patterns flowing like water. Before the mihrab lay a shallow recess in the stone, exactly the shape and size of the obsidian disc. Tariq, who had led them silently the whole way, stopped at the edge of the platform. This is the heart of Jebel al-Nur, he said. And here the seal was first placed by the one who bound its power after the time of the great trials. Only a guardian of true blood can return it, or awaken it fully. Yusuf stepped forward. His footsteps echoed softly, then fell silent as if the cave itself were listening. He knelt before the recess and drew the disc. Its crimson center now glowed steadily, no longer pulsing erratically. He held it over the slot. Before he could lower it, a soft voice, clear, calm, neither male nor female, spoke from the shadows all around. Child of the bloodline, why have you come? Yusuf looked up. No one stood there, yet the voice came from everywhere. I seek guidance, he answered. The seal woke in my hands. Men of greed pursue it. I do not wish power. I wish only to protect what should not fall into wrong hands, the voice replied, patient. Many have said the same, yet intention is tested not in words, but in the fire of choice. Look. The moonlight shifted. Shadows on the walls moved like living ink, forming scenes. First scene, Zahir al-Din in his fortified palace far below, surrounded by maps and strange instruments. He slammed a fist on a table as his astrologers reported failure after failure to locate the mountain path. Rage twisted his features, but beneath it, fear. fear that the power he craved might choose another. Second scene. Yusuf's own face reflected in still water, older now, weary. He stood alone on a battlefield of dust and smoke, the disc raised high. Armies clashed around him, yet no blade touched him. The power flowed not as destruction, but as a shield, turning arrows to light, swords to harmless wind. Third scene, the disc placed back into the recess. Darkness closed over it, peace returned to the land. Yusuf walked away empty-handed, but free. The visions faded. The voice spoke again. The seal is neither good nor evil. It is a mirror. It magnifies what is already in the heart of its bearer. Place it now, and it sleeps once more. Or keep it, and bear its weight until the true trial comes. Yusuf's hand trembled. He looked at Imam Harun. The Imam nodded once. "The choice is yours, nephew. Allah guides the sincere." Tariq added quietly, "But know this. Zahir al-Din has found the lower paths. His men climb even now. If you leave the seal here, they may still reach it. If you take it with you..." The burden grows heavier. Yusuf closed his eyes. He remembered his father's notebook. The greatest strength is not in holding power, but in knowing when to release it. He opened his eyes. "I will not abandon it yet. Not while innocent lives hang in the balance. Guide me to use it rightly, or show me how to end this pursuit forever." A soft sigh seemed to rise from the stone itself. Then the final path opens. The mihrab in the stalagmite shimmered. A hidden seam appeared along its base. Stone parted silently, revealing a narrow tunnel sloping downward, not back the way they came, but deeper still, toward the unseen heart of the mountain. Tariq bowed slightly. "This way leads to the chamber of reflection. There, the seal will reveal its true nature to you alone. We cannot follow. The watchers will guard the entrance until you return. Or do not." Imam Harun gripped Yusuf's shoulder. "Remember every ayah you know. Call on Allah in every breath. Whatever you see, hold fast to Tawhid." Yusuf nodded. He stepped into the tunnel. The stone closed behind him with a gentle rumble. Darkness swallowed him. Only the disc's glow and his small lamp remained. He walked. The tunnel narrowed until he had to turn sideways. Then it opened suddenly into a perfect, spherical chamber. Walls smooth as glass, ceiling domed, floor polished black stone. In the very center hovered a faint orb of light, no bigger than a fist, pulsing in time with the disc in his hand. Yusuf approached. The orb spoke, the same voice, now closer, warmer. "Ask, Guardian. One question. The seal answers only once." Yusuf's mind raced. 1,000 questions fought for space. How to defeat Zahir, how to destroy the seal, how to protect the city. But one rose above them all. What must I become? To keep this power from corrupting me? The orb brightened. You must become nothing. Empty yourself of desire. Let the seal flow through you as a river through a dry valley, never holding, only guiding. When the moment comes, you will know. Trust in Allah alone. The rest is illusion. The orb dimmed. The orb. As the moon cast its silver glow over the silent ruins of Eldoria, I finally reached the Chamber of Echoes. The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of centuries and unspoken secrets. According to the ancient scrolls, this was where the fifth piece of the celestial map was hidden. But the chamber wasn't empty. Standing before a crumbling altar was Kyle, my former mentor, the man who taught me everything I knew about the arcane arts. His back was to me, but I could feel the dark energy radiating from him, a chilling aura that I hadn't felt since the day he vanished. "Kyle!" I called out, my voice steady despite the tremor in my heart. He turned slowly, and his eyes, once filled with wisdom and kindness, now glowed with a malevolent purple light. He wasn't holding a relic or a weapon, but the very air around him warped and crackled. "So, the apprentice finally catches up to the master," he said, his voice a low hiss that echoed unnaturally in the vast chamber. "I must admit, I'm impressed. I didn't think you had it in you to decipher the fivefold path." I took a step forward, my hand instinctively moving to the hilt of my blade. "Why, Kyle? Why betray the order?" The hidden seal was meant to protect this world, not to be broken for power. A cruel smile twisted his lips. Protect? You call this stagnation protection? For 1,000 years, we've guarded a power that could reshape reality, cowering in the shadows while the world outside withers. I seek not to break the seal for chaos, but to harness its energy, to bring about a new age of true enlightenment. He gestured to the altar behind him, where a pulsating shard of obsidian levitated, casting dancing shadows on the walls. That's the Void Stone, I whispered, recognizing the artifact from the forbidden texts. You're trying to corrupt the map piece, to taint it with shadow magic. Kyle laughed, a sound devoid of any warmth. Corruption? No, my dear Ilara, I'm perfecting it. The original mages were fools. They sealed away half of creation's power, fearing what they couldn't control. I will complete their work. He raised his hands, and tendrils of dark energy lashed out from the Void Stone, wrapping around the floating map piece. The air crackled, and the very stones beneath my feet began to vibrate. I knew I couldn't let him succeed. Drawing my blade, which hummed with a soft, golden light in response to the encroaching darkness, I charged. Your ambition will be your undoing, old man. Kyle merely sneered, not moving from his spot. You still rely on that antiquated steel? You've learned nothing. As I lunged, a wall of pure shadow erupted from the ground in front of me, solid as rock. My blade struck it with a deafening clang, sending sparks of light and dark flying into the air. The impact threw me backward, my arm numb from the force. He hadn't even moved. He was toying with me, demonstrating the gulf in our power. The world doesn't need a new age forged in darkness, Kyle. It needs guardians, not tyrants. I pushed myself to my feet, my resolve hardening. He shook his head in mock pity. Such a narrow view, but it matters not. Once I have this final piece, the seal will be within my grasp. And you, my dear apprentice, will be the first to witness my new world. The Void Stone pulsed brighter, the map piece beginning to distort and change color. Time was running out. I had to find a way past his defenses, to stop him before the map and the world were lost forever. The real fight had just begun. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for the next chapter. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that your hearts are still with us for Chapter 6 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If mercy over vengeance stirred something deep inside you in the last chapter, please show it with a like. Every click helps these stories of faith reach more people searching for light in dark times. And if you want to walk every step of this journey, hit subscribe right now and turn on the bell. Chapter 7 is coming, inshallah, and the trials are only growing. Now, let us carry the weight. The spherical chamber grew quiet after Zahir al-Din's retreat. The shattered astrolabe lay in pieces, like broken promises on the polished black floor. Yusuf stood alone for a long moment, the obsidian disc resting open in his palm. Its crimson center had returned to a gentle, steady glow, no longer urgent but watchful. He whispered, Alhamdulillah, for guidance, for strength, for mercy. But peace was short-lived. From the tunnel entrance above came the unmistakable clamor of armored men. Boots scraping stone, low curses, the metallic clink of swords being drawn. Zahir may have fled broken, but his followers had not received the message. They pressed forward, driven by greed, fear of their master's wrath and the promise of reward. Yusuf hurried back through the narrow passage. The stone wall parted at his approach. The mountain itself seemed to recognize him now. He emerged into the larger cavern, where Imam Harun and Tariq waited, faces tense. They number at least 20, Tariq said grimly. Well armed. They've lit torches and brought ropes to scale the inner shafts. They mean to take this place by force. Imam Harun looked at Yusuf with steady eyes. The seal, did it speak to you? Yusuf nodded. It showed me that power magnifies the heart, and it reminded me, the greatest strength is surrender, not to men, but to Allah. Tariq gripped his crystal-topped staff tighter. Then we defend the sacred ground. The silent watcher's spirits still linger here. They will aid those who stand rightly. Yusuf felt the disc warm again. He lifted it. No bloodshed if it can be avoided, Mercy opened the first door. Let it open the last. Before anyone could respond, the first attackers burst into the cavern from a side passage. 6 men in black chainmail, swords raised. Their leader, a scarred brute with Zahir's red crescent on his chest, pointed straight at Yusuf. "The boy has it! Take him alive! The master wants the heart beating!" Tariq stepped forward, staff raised. The crystal flared bright white. A low hum filled the air, and the stone floor trembled faintly. Several loose rocks near the entrance shifted and rolled, forming a sudden barrier that tripped the leading men. Imam Harun began reciting in a calm, clear voice, "Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq." Surah al-Falaq rolled from his lips like a shield. The words seemed to thicken the air. The attackers slowed, confusion crossing their faces. Yusuf raised the disc high. "Stop!" he called. His voice carried farther than it should, echoing not just in the cavern, but in the hearts of those who heard it. "This power is not for conquest. Turn back now and live. Press forward and face what you cannot control." Some hesitated. One man lowered his sword slightly, eyes darting between his comrades and the glowing disc. But the scarred leader snarled. "Words won't save you!" He charged, blade swinging. The disc pulsed once, sharp, decisive. A wave of soft golden light rippled outward from Yusuf's hand. It was not fire, not wind, more like dawn breaking through clouds. The light touched the charging man gently, and he froze mid-step. His sword dropped, his knees buckled. He sank to the ground, not injured but overwhelmed. Tears streaming down his scarred face as if years of buried guilt had suddenly surfaced. One by one, the light brushed the others. Swords clattered, shields fell. Men dropped to their knees, some whispering, "Astaghfirullah," others simply staring in stunned silence. Tariq lowered his staff in awe. The seal. It judges without harming. Imam Harun placed a hand on Yusuf's shoulder. Mercy is its truest weapon. But not all yielded. From deeper in the passage, a new group emerged. These ones wore darker cloaks, faces hidden. At their head walked a thin, hooded figure carrying a staff of twisted black wood. Smoke curled from its tip, carrying the acrid scent of forbidden incense. The figure spoke in a rasping voice. "Foolish guardian, you think light alone suffices. Zahir may have faltered, but the old pacts still hold." He raised the staff. Dark tendrils snaked from its end, reaching for the disc like living shadows. Yusuf felt the disc grow hot, warning him. The golden light flared brighter, pushing the tendrils back, but they writhed and reformed, stronger. Imam Harun stepped beside Yusuf. "Together," he said. They recited in unison, "Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad." Surah al-Ikhlas filled the cavern, pure, uncompromised Tawhid. The words seemed to weave into the golden light, turning it into something unbreakable. The dark tendrils recoiled, hissing like burned snakes. The hooded figure staggered. "You cannot win," Yusuf said quietly. "What you serve feeds on illusion. What we serve is eternal." The figure screamed, a sound more animal than human, and hurled the staff forward. It shattered midair against the wall of light. The hooded man collapsed, clutching his chest. The remaining attackers fled into the tunnels, their torches guttering out behind them. Silence returned. Tariq knelt before Yusuf. "The mountain has chosen. You are its guardian now, not just of the seal, but of its purpose." Yusuf looked at the disc. The crimson drop inside had calmed completely, steady, peaceful. But Imam Harun's face remained serious. "They will return. Zahir is wounded in spirit, but pride heals slowly. And others may come, those who serve darker forces." Yusuf nodded. "Then we do not hide. We carry the truth back to the city. If the seal is a mirror, let it reflect for all to see." Tariq rose. "The path down is clear now. The silent watchers have opened a hidden way, straight to the old masjid at the Mountain Es base. From there, you can reach Al-Madina Al-Qadima before nightfall." Imam Harun looked at his nephew with quiet pride. "What will you do when you return?" Yusuf closed his hand around the disc. I will place it where it belongs, but not buried, in the light, where its lesson can guide instead of destroy. As they began the descent, the mountain seemed to breathe with them, walls glowing faintly, guiding their steps. But far below, in the shadowed alleys of the city, Zahir al-Din sat alone in his palace. His hands shook, his eyes stared at nothing. And in the deepest chamber of his mind, a small, dark whisper remained. The power is not gone. It waits for the next hand willing to take it. Subhanallah. When light meets darkness, mercy becomes the mightiest force. If this chapter strengthened your resolve, please smash that like button. It keeps the channel growing with stories that matter. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault and turn on notifications so Chapter 7 arrives without delay, where Yusuf returns to the city and faces the greatest choice yet. In the comments, have you ever chosen mercy when revenge felt easier? Share if you feel comfortable. Jazakallah khair for standing firm with us. May Allah grant us all hearts that choose light. See you in the next chapter, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear family in Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that we've reached chapter 7 of the Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If the power of mercy and Tawhid in the last chapter touched your soul, please drop a like right now. It truly helps these meaningful stories reach more hearts searching for guidance. And if you're walking this path with us, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so chapter 8 arrives without delay, inshallah. The story is turning toward its heart now. Stay close. Let us return. The hidden path Tariq revealed wound gently down the eastern flank of Jebel al-Nur, emerging behind a cluster of ancient olive trees. The sun hung low, casting long golden rays across the desert floor. Yusuf, Imam Harun, and Tariq stepped out into open air. The city of al-Madina al-Qadima visible in the distance, its minarets like silent sentinels against the horizon. The disk in Yusuf's inner pocket felt lighter now, almost serene. Its warmth was constant and comforting, like a quiet companion that no longer needed to shout warnings. Tariq paused at the edge of the path. My place is here, guarding the outer ways. But know this, Guardian, the mountain remembers. If the seal is ever threatened again, call upon the silent watchers. Their spirits answer the sincere. Yusuf bowed his head. Jazakallah khair, brother. May Allah protect you and your watch. Tariq placed a hand over his heart, then turned back up the slope, disappearing into the rocks like a shadow returning home. Imam Harun looked toward the city. Zahir's palace lies in the western quarter. His men still hold the gates, but the old masjid, the one your father used to pray in, stands in the heart of the eastern district. If we reach it unseen, we can decide the seal's fate in a place of purity. Yusuf nodded. Then that is where we go, not to hide it, but to let its truth be known. They moved quickly, keeping to lesser paths. As they drew closer, signs of Zahir's grip became clearer. Extra guards at crossroads, merchants closing shutters early, children pulled indoors by anxious mothers. Whispers followed them like wind through reeds. They say the warlord has changed, one old woman muttered from a doorway. He returned from the mountain pale as death, speaks to shadows now. Yusuf felt a pang of sorrow. Mercy had cracked the man's pride, but pride has deep roots. They reached the eastern district as Maghrib approached. The old masjid stood modest and timeless. Whitewashed walls, a single short minaret, its courtyard shaded by an ancient sycamore tree. The doors were open, soft light spilled from within, where a few elderly men sat reciting Quran. Imam Harun led them inside. The mihrab was simple, its niche framed by faded blue tiles. Yusuf felt the disc stir gently, almost like a sigh of recognition. They performed Maghrib Salah together. When the prayer ended, Yusuf remained in sujud, whispering, "O Allah, guide me in what I carry. Let it serve your creation, not my ego. Protect this city from what greed would unleash. Ameen." When he rose, the masjid felt different, calmer, as if the walls themselves had listened. One of the elderly worshippers approached, a frail man with a white beard and kind eyes. "Young Yusuf, your father used to sit where you sit now. He spoke of a burden passed through blood. Is the time come? Yusuf met his gaze. It is, but I seek counsel, not command. The old man smiled faintly. Then place what you carry before the mihrab. Let the place of prostration decide. Yusuf knelt and drew the obsidian disc, laying it gently on the prayer rug. The crimson drop inside caught the lamplight, sending soft prisms dancing across the tiles. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a low, resonant hum rose from the disc, vibrating through the floor, the walls, the very air. The lamps flickered. The disc lifted slightly, hovering an inch above the rug, and began to turn slowly. Patterns of light traced across its surface, forming words in an ancient script. Yusuf read them aloud, voice steady. The seal awakens not for dominion, but for reminder. Let it rest in the house of Allah, open to all who seek truth. Its power protects the sincere and exposes the insincere. The disc settled back down. The hum faded. Imam Harun placed a gentle hand on Yusuf's shoulder. It has chosen its place. Here, in the light of Salah and Dhikr, it will serve as a mirror for the city. The old man nodded. Word will spread quietly. Those with pure hearts will come to reflect. Those with darkened ones will turn away. But outside, night had fallen. Through the open courtyard door, Yusuf saw movement. Torches approaching from the western alleys. Zahir's remaining loyalists, sent to reclaim what their master had lost. Imam Harun stood. They come for the seal, but they will find something greater. Yusuf rose, tucking the disc into a small niche behind the mihrab, not sealed, but resting openly, its glow visible to anyone who entered with sincerity. He turned to the approaching lights. Let us meet them not with force, but with truth. As the first torches reached the courtyard gate, a single voice rang out from the minaret above, an elderly voice strengthened by years of calling, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The Yadan rolled across the night, pure, unhurried, piercing the darkness. The approaching men slowed, some lowered torches, others looked up, confused. In the palace far across the city, Zahir heard the call drifting on the wind. He clutched the windowsill, his eyes distant, and in that moment, the disc in the masjid pulsed once more, soft, steady, a reminder that some powers answer only to the one who created them. Subhanallah. When truth finds its home in the house of Allah, even shadows begin to retreat. If this chapter filled your heart with hope, please hit that like button. Your support keeps these stories of Iman alive and growing. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault and turn on notifications for Chapter 8, where the city itself begins to change, and Yusuf faces the final shadow of doubt. In the comments, what place in your life feels like the morgue mihrab, where truth rests openly? Jazakallah khair for being here through every step. May Allah make our hearts homes for His remembrance. See you soon, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that we've arrived at Chapter 8 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If the adhan in the last chapter stirred peace in your heart, please honor that moment with a like. It helps these stories of light and guidance reach more souls in need. And if you're committed to seeing how truth changes everything, hit subscribe now and turn on the bell. Chapter 9 is coming soon, inshallah, and the city itself begins to breathe differently. Let us watch the mirror spread. The adhan from the old masjid's minaret rolled across al-Madina al-Qadima like a gentle wave, touching every alley, every rooftop, every closed shutter. It was not louder than usual, yet somehow clearer, as if the night air itself carried it with extra care. The group of Zahir's men in the courtyard froze. Torches lowered. Swords hung loose at their sides. One by one, they glanced at each other, then at the open doors of the masjid, where soft lamplights spilled out. No one moved to enter. No one shouted orders. After a long silence, the scarred leader from earlier stepped forward, not aggressively, but hesitantly. We came for the thing, he said, voice low. The master said it would make us strong. Yusuf stood in the doorway, calm, hands open. "The seal is here," he replied simply. "But it does not make anyone strong who seeks strength for themselves. It shows truth. Come inside. See for yourselves. No one will stop you." The men exchanged uneasy looks. The leader hesitated, then nodded once. 3 of them followed him through the gate. The rest stayed outside, torches dimming as if ashamed of their own light. Inside, the masjid was quiet. The elderly worshippers sat along the walls, reciting softly. Imam Harun stood near the mihrab, hands folded. Yusuf gestured toward the niche where the disc rested, its crimson drop glowing softly, steadily, like a heartbeat in the dim room. The leader approached slowly. He knelt before it, staring into the obsidian surface. At first, nothing. Then, the glow brightened just enough. He saw himself, years younger, laughing with friends in a village market before war and ambition took him. Then scenes of choices, the first bribe accepted, the first order given that hurt innocence, the nights alone wondering if the power was worth the emptiness. Tears welled in his eyes. He did not sob. He simply bowed his head. I remember who I was," he whispered, "before all this." One of the others knelt beside him. The disc's light touched him too, showing not just sins, but moments of kindness buried deep. A coin given to a beggar, a prayer whispered in fear, a promise broken but not forgotten. They rose slowly, no anger, no demands. "We won't take it," the leader said. "Tell Zahir, we're done." They left quietly. Outside, the remaining men followed without a word. Torches extinguished one by one as they melted back into the night. Word spread slowly at first. Whispers in the souk at dawn, conversations over tea, mothers telling children by lamplight. People began to come to the old masjid, not in crowds, but singly, quietly. A merchant troubled by dishonest deals, a widow carrying grief, a young student doubting his path. They sat before the niche, looked into the seal, and left changed, not always happy but always clearer. The disc did not judge aloud. It simply reflected what was already in the heart, the good that could grow, the wrong that could be repaired. Imam Harun watched it all with quiet wonder. "It is no longer hidden," he told Yusuf one evening as they sat together after Isha. "It has become a teacher, not of power, but of self-accountability." Yusuf nodded. "My father would have been proud. He always said, 'The greatest protection is a heart that fears Allah more than men.'" But across the city, in the shadowed halls of his palace, Zahir al-Din heard the stories. Servants spoke in hushed tones. Guards who once feared him now looked away. Even his most loyal advisors began to slip away in the night. He sat alone in his grand chamber, staring at the empty space where the astrolabe once stood. The dark whisper that had lingered in his mind grew fainter, but not gone. One night, unable to bear the silence, he rose. Cloaked and hooded, he walked the streets, a ghost in his own city. He reached the old masjid just before Fajr. The doors were open, as always now. No guards, no crowd. Only a single lamp burning near the mihrab. Zahir stepped inside. His boots echoed softly on the carpet. He approached the niche. The disc glowed brighter at his nearness, not welcoming, not hostile, simply present. He knelt and looked. What he saw was not punishment. It was everything. The boy he once was, the man he became, the choices that led here, the mercy he had been offered on the mountain and refused. Tears fell freely now. For the first time in years, he felt small, not in defeat, but in truth. He whispered, broken, "Astaghfirullah, forgive me!" The disc pulsed once, gentle, forgiving, not erasing the past, but offering a path forward. Zahir rose. He did not speak to Yusuf or Harun, who watched silently from the shadows. He simply left, head bowed, steps lighter than when he arrived. Outside, the first call of Fajr began. The city woke to a new day. Subhanallah. When a mirror is placed in the house of Allah, even the proudest soul can see itself clearly. If this chapter brought tears or hope to your eyes, please smash that like button. Your support means these stories continue to spread light. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault and turn on notifications for Chapter 9, where the final shadows gather, and Yusuf must make the ultimate choice for the seal's resting place. In the comments, have you ever had a moment where truth hit you like a mirror? Share if it feels right. Jazakallah khair for walking every step with us. May Allah purify our hearts and guide our choices. See you soon, inshallah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that we've reached Chapter 9 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If the transformation in the city last chapter filled you with hope, please drop a like right now. Every bit of support keeps these stories of Iman and mercy reaching more hearts. And if you've been with us from the beginning, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the final chapter. Chapter 10 will bring this journey full circle, inshallah. Let us witness the last reflection. Days turned to weeks. The old masjid in the eastern district became known simply as Bayt al-Mirah, the House of the Mirror. Not loudly proclaimed, not turned into spectacle. People came quietly, at dawn, after work, in the stillness after Aisha. A baker troubled by rising debts, a teacher doubting her calling, a young man wrestling with anger he could not name. They sat before the niche, looked into the obsidian disc, and left carrying something lighter. Clarity, remorse turned to tawbah, resolve renewed. The seal never spoke aloud, it never demanded. It simply showed, without cruelty, without favor, what the heart already knew but often hid. Yusuf spent most evenings there now, not as guardian in the old sense, but as caretaker. He swept the courtyard, refilled the lamps, sat with those who lingered to talk. Imam Harun joined him often, offering quiet counsel when words were needed. One evening, as the sky turned deep indigo, Zahir al-Din returned. He came alone. No cloak of shadows, no armed escort. Just a simple grey jubba, face gaunt, eyes hollow but clear for the first time in years. He paused at the courtyard gate, as if asking permission to enter a place he once would have stormed. Yusuf rose from the prayer rug and walked to meet him. No guards stood between them, no weapons. Only the soft glow from inside the masjid. Zahir spoke first, voice low and steady. I have not slept well since the mountain. Every night, the mirror shows me again. Not just the wrongs I did, but the man I could have been if I'd chosen differently. Yusuf listened without interruption. I came to ask, is there a way back? Not to power, to peace. Yusuf placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, the same gesture Imam Harun had given him so many times. There is always a way back, he said. Allah's mercy is wider than what we can imagine. The seal showed you truth. Now you must live it. Zahir looked toward the mihrab. May I see it one last time? Yusuf led him inside. They knelt together before the niche. The disc glowed softly, welcoming, not accusing. Zahir gazed into it. This time, no visions of past sins flooded him. Instead, a single quiet image, himself in old age, sitting in this very masjid, teaching children Quran, face lined with years but peaceful. No throne, no fear in others' eyes, just simple, honest days. He exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. Thank you, he whispered, for not ending me when you could have. Yusuf smiled faintly. Mercy is not weakness, it is the hardest strength. Zahir rose. I will leave the city tomorrow. There are villages in the north where people still remember who I was before all this. I will try to rebuild what I broke. He turned to leave, then paused. One last thing. The seal, it no longer calls to me. It feels at rest. Yusuf nodded. It has done what it was meant to do. Zahir left into the night. This time his steps carried no echo of pursuit. Weeks later, word reached the masjid. Zahir had settled in a small northern town. He worked restoring an old well, taught evening classes to children, lived simply. No riches, no fear, just quiet amends. The city itself changed slowly. Merchants became more honest in their scales. Neighbors spoke with greater kindness. The old fear that had hung over al-Madinah al-Qadima lifted like morning mist. One quiet dawn, Yusuf sat alone before the mihrab. The disc rested in its niche, glow steady and soft. He spoke to it as one speaks to an old friend. You woke in my hands to remind us, not to conquer but to remember. Thank you. The disc pulsed once, gentle, almost affectionate, then dimmed to the faintest shimmer. Not gone, not sleeping, simply content. Yusuf rose. He walked to the courtyard, looked at the rising sun touching the minaret. Imam Harun joined him. What now, nephew? Yusuf smiled. Now. We live the reflection, day by day, salah by salah, choice by choice. The adhan for Fajr began, clear, beautiful, calling the city to rise and remember. Subhanallah. When truth is placed openly in the house of Allah, it changes everything, quietly, surely, forever. If this chapter brought peace to your heart, please hit that like button. It means the world to this channel. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault and turn on notifications for the final chapter 10, where we bring the entire journey to its beautiful close. In the comments, what lesson from the seal will you carry into your own life? Jazakallah khair for every moment you've spent with us. May Allah make us among those who see truth clearly and act upon it. See you in the finale, inshaAllah. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters of Islamic Story Vault. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that we have reached the final chapter 10 of The Guardian of the Hidden Seal. If this journey has touched your heart, strengthened your iman, or reminded you of Allah's endless mercy, then please show your love with a like right now. It truly helps these original stories continue to reach more souls seeking light. And if you've walked every step with us from the very first whisper in the old library, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. More beautiful tales await, inshallah. Now, let us bring this story home. Months passed like gentle pages turning. Al-Madinah al-Qadima no longer carried the heavy shadow it once did. The souk bustled with honest laughter again. Children played freely in the alleys. Neighbors helped one another without being asked. The old masjid, Bait al-Mira, remained quiet and open, its doors never locked. People came and went at all hours. A father seeking patience with his teenage son, a young woman asking for strength to forgive, an elder reflecting on a life well lived. The obsidian disc rested in its niche behind the mihrab, no longer glowing fiercely, but with a soft, constant light like a candle left burning in a window for travelers. It never moved. It never demanded attention. Yet, whenever someone approached with a sincere heart, the crimson drop inside would brighten just enough to show them what they needed to see, nothing more, nothing less. Yusuf ibn Khalid no longer lived in the shadows of books and secret corridors. He taught daily in the masjid, not grand lectures, but simple circles of learning, tafsir of short surahs, stories of the prophets, reminders of tawbah and gratitude. Imam Harun sat beside him often, adding wisdom from decades of quiet service. One afternoon, as the sun slanted golden through the courtyard sycamore, a small boy tugged at Yusuf's sleeve. "Uncle Yusuf, is the mirror magic?" Yusuf smiled and knelt to the child's level. "No, little one, it is not magic, it is a reminder. Allah has placed in every heart a mirror like it, the one we call conscience, fitra. The seal only helps us see it more clearly when dust covers it. The real power is in choosing to clean the mirror every day with salah, dhikr, and good deeds." The boy nodded solemnly. "So I can have my own mirror?" "You already do," Yusuf replied gently. "Look inside when you pray. Listen when you feel that quiet pull toward what is right. That is Allah speaking to you." The child ran off smiling, carrying the words like a treasure. Years later, though to Yusuf it felt like the blink of an eye, the disc S-light began to fade, day by day, softer and softer, not dying, completing. One quiet Fajr, as the first adhan rose over the city, Yusuf sat alone before the mihrab. The crimson drop inside the obsidian had become the faintest shimmer, like starlight seen through morning mist. He placed his hand gently over the niche. "Thank you," he whispered, "for waking when I needed to remember, for showing mercy when I could have chosen otherwise, for teaching this city, and me, that true strength is in submission to Allah alone." The disk pulsed once more, the softest, warmest glow, then settled into stillness. The light remained, but subtle now, like a secret shared only with those who seek it sincerely. Yusuf rose. He stepped into the courtyard. The city woke around him, muezzins calling from every minaret, roosters answering, the scent of fresh bread drifting from ovens. Imam Harun joined him, leaning on his staff. "It rests now," the Imam said. "Not hidden, not forgotten, simply present, like Iman itself." Yusuf looked toward the horizon where Jebel al-Nur stood silent and eternal. "Perhaps that was its purpose all along," he replied. "Not to be a weapon or a treasure, but a reminder that Allah has already placed everything we need inside us. We only need to look." The two men stood in companionable silence as the sun rose fully, bathing the old masjid in golden light, and so the story of the hidden seal ends, not with thunder or conquest, but with quiet, enduring truth. The guardian did his duty, the mirror did its work, and the city remembered. Subhanallah, what a beautiful journey from darkness to light, from fear to peace, from power to surrender. If this final chapter left peace in your heart, please smash that like button one last time for this series. It means everything to us. Subscribe to Islamic Story Vault if you haven't already, and turn on notifications for brand new stories coming soon, inshallah. In the comments below, which moment in this entire series touched you the most? And what will you take from Yusuf's journey into your own life? Jazakallah khair for every second you spent with us. Thank you for being part of this story. May Allah keep our hearts clean, our intentions pure, and our steps firm on the straight path until the next tale. Stay close to Allah. Allah Hafiz.